More like Ultraman jacked, am I right? Let's talk about season 2 of Netflix's Ultraman, and I gotta say, I absolutely loved season 1 when it came out 3 years ago, and we've got a new season of the 6 episodes that are all 25 minutes each, and we'll get into those problems in a second. I just gotta preface this by saying I definitely love season 1, but I also get that it's not specifically Ultraman, and season 2 is more specifically not Ultraman. In fact, it feels more not Ultraman than season 1, if that makes sense. As a fan of the manga though, I knew what I was getting into. I've read the manga up until about the end of season 1, if I'm remembering correctly, but that was also way back in 2019. So I was like super psyched to get into this new season, which I just finished watching an hour ago. If you want my opinion on it, watch it all in one. It's basically a big 2.5 hour movie. I also have to say, I did watch the English dub version because that's what comes up on Netflix first. Also, I love me some Peter Millark, but this is where my first big gripe with this show comes up. Season 2 might be the most egregious example I've ever seen of like anime dub syncing. Just none of the voices match up with the mouths going on, and I understand that because the mouths were made for the Japanese wording. But even the subtitles are wrong for most of the episodes. I just had to turn them off because like what I was hearing and what I was reading were two completely different scripts. Once you get past episode 1, it all kind of picks up, and most of the episodes are in-suit action anyways, because it is a breakneck pace to get through 25-minute episodes and just have this gigantic story that they were trying to tell. So the audio dubbing doesn't really get in the way of much after episode 1. It's still kind of noticeable in some places. But let's talk about that breakneck pace, because two of my favorite parts of season 1 are Dan Moriboshi and Ultraman Ace. They just are so good as characters, and they chew up every scene they're a part of. Ace is like barely in this season at all. Seven gets regulated to pretty much babysitting. He also makes a really weird call in the first episode to not listen to Kotoro, which I feel like is not a Dan Moriboshi move from the first season. He was kind of like on it with everything, and there's a living being left over in a space where there's no living beings, and he just looks past it, which is really out of character, I feel like. But if you liked our main squeeze, Shinjiro, he's also basically not there until episode 4. No, Ultraman season 2 is the story of Kotoro, Ultraman Taro, and he is like our through line. He is our character that we are looking through the window into this series, which is weird because we just did that in season 1 with Shinjiro. This felt like Ultraman : the Taro show, which isn't a bad thing. Taro's story is actually pretty interesting. He's a likable character. He's that like gung-ho newbie rookie character that you see in all these team-up hero films. He's just not one of the Ultramen that we spent all of season 1 getting to know and seeing form that bond. So this season is specifically his time to shine. We also get Ultraman Jack as the newcomer, and Shin Hayata himself, the OG, taking up the mantle of Ultraman Zafi. And that last episode, when the suit comes down, it's a super hype moment, and I couldn't help but be like, let's go! So we're basically setting up the Ultra Brothers for this show. It's just really hard to do that in 6 episodes, 25 minutes each. I keep bringing that up, but it's a main sticking point for my problem with this season is just you don't get to spend any time with anyone that's not Taro outside a suit and just being themselves, being characters. Shinjiro himself is pretty much established as the Ultraman by episode 1, which is fine where we left him in the beginning of last season. Just felt like a lot of time has passed and we missed some things. Specifically him and Dan training, which would have been amazing to see more of because damn, I love Dan Moriboshi. Going back to Taro for a second, he gets thrust into this conflict by discovering the aliens that basically kidnap a bunch of humans and are threatening to kidnap half of the planet, Thanos style, if their demands aren't met. And if you haven't noticed, we're doing like full spoilers right now. The alien queen dies later in the series, and she's with Ace, who is not connected to her at all. Ace has known this woman for maybe 10 minutes at this point. I say dies, but Maya sticks her tongue out at the camera like for a split second while Ace is holding her, which I would believe is a nod to her coming back later, but also if you told me it was just bad animation, I would believe you as well. It's just a really weird point because Kotoro is the one that pleads to her and tells her that like, hey, we can find a place for you on Earth all the way back in episode 2, and he just doesn't react to her death. Shinjiro reacts to her death, but Kotoro could care less. And it's things like that where the runtime of the show just doesn't allow it to breathe. All these character interactions when you have 6 Ultraman brothers and they're all just like, hey, cool, we're all Ultraman now, that's good with me. I feel like the best part of this series is at the end when Dan Moriboshi wants to shoot Shinjiro and Ace is like, hey, his guard is down, no problem, you can shoot him right now. That's more of the shit I want to see. It's in that terrible out of suit animation, but like, character, give me more of that. Also, while I'm talking about animation, I will just say the fight scenes that matter look spectacular in this show. For as much as the rest of it looks like it's a Spider-Man show on MTV, you can tell where all the budget went when all these monsters are just completely different looking character models than the rest of the humans around them. And that is shown off tenfold in the final battle with the Golden Fortress, where everything is just on this spectacular grand scale the whole time. Another side note, if anyone just clicked watch ending credits, the ending credits of this show give away the entire season. It's amazing. And speaking of credits, you remember this shot? Just the shot that all the promotional material is based off of? Not in the show. Every shot in the intro except this shot is in the show. I don't understand how you base all your promotion off of this and not have this shot of all of them in the show. It's just, it's the money shot and they just completely took it out. Don't get me wrong, it sounds like I hated this and I didn't. There are some very hype moments throughout the episodes. Ultraman Netflix season 2 is just this fast action movie that doesn't care about slowing down for you. If there wasn't a manga that it's based off of, I would have said it doesn't even care about Ultraman. The battle with the Golden Fortress is just the perfect time for Ultraman scene. If you could think of Ultraman, it's Ultraman fighting a giant alien and all these buildings around, and they're kaijus, they're big. And this show just, that's the moment where I was like, oh, this just doesn't feel like Ultraman. It's like, they had the chance to make one of them big, make Shinjiro big, make him the Ultraman, and they just didn't pull the trigger. So it does end up just falling to the scrutiny that all of this kind of feels like an Iron Man knockoff. And if that's what you're looking for, it's pretty good. But if you're looking for Ultraman, this is kind of devoid of that spirit. But like I said, there's a lot of hype moments in there, specifically the Zaffi suit coming down, Ultraman Jack's final battle where he just decides to become Hiroshi Tanahashi and throw a sling blade in there, and Dan Moriboshi being the badass samurai as Seven, just like always. But other than that, there's just not much meat on the bone to this show's second outing, which is kind of crazy when you hear that a few days ago, Netflix announced that the 3rd season will be the last one and it's coming in 2023. Thankfully, not the 3-year wait that we had before, but I just feel like there's so much more story there, and one more season might not do it. Like, the 3rd season is obviously gonna tell us who Bemular is, and if you know that spoiler like I do, just leave it out of the comment section for me, because there's a lot of people that coming to this video that won't know that. Bemular was pretty much like in the background for most of this time until the final episode. I guess season 1 or 2 shots, but other than that, just not a character this season. The 33-second teaser for next season basically looks like a clip of a motion comic, so we'll see how far along they are when they announce an actual air date for it. But I'm excited to watch the next season. I just hope we get a lot more episodes, a lot better runtime, and just time for these characters to breathe and interact. Which at this point, we might just be back down to 4 Ultraman because Jack and Kotoro were like, hey, let's go back to America, peace out. I can't say I like this show as an Ultraman fan. It's pretty much Ultraman only in name. Like, at one point, Kotaro said, you're a soldier of light to Shinjiro, and that just made me feel like dirty. Like, warrior, fine, giant of light, soldier just makes it feel like war, and that's not really what the Ultramen are about. But that's just how I feel. Let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment section. With all that said, I do like this show, and I feel like a lot of this review was just me saying the bad things about it. Like I said, there are great things about it. It's in there. You just gotta find it. I think my ultimate regret is that I didn't watch this closer to season 3, because I think if I would have been able to watch this 6 episodes, this brisk 2.5-hour movie, and jump straight into season 3, I think the story would be a lot more fun, coherent, and be able to grab me a lot better. Yeah, that's the word for it. Kind of like, I don't feel like I was in the car with them during the show. I feel like I was chasing after the car on a bike. It was just so fast.